Hi, let's start a new topic today, and that's synchronization. We have seen that uh, multiple times, even in simple programs, we required some sort of coordination across threads, maybe within warp threads, within threads of the same block, or two arbitrary threads which are running on the GPU. So what are different mechanisms in which this coordination can happen is essentially the topic of this discussion. So what we are going to study is what is meant by a race. Whenever you require coordination, that does mean that there is something which they are accessing together, the same, let's say, data item. And therefore, there is possibility of a race between the two threads. And what we are going to formally define that. To make sure that there is coordination, there are simple terms which we or simple mechanisms which we use to make sure that these do not access the same data item together. That is called as mutual exclusion. Resolving those might lead to something called as deadlocks. Some of you will be aware of these terms, some of you may not be, and it is all right. We'll just, whatever is required for the purpose of this course, we will be able to talk about that. So the mechanisms used to resolve these synchronization issues are essentially atomics, locks, as well as barriers. So that's what we will look at. Then there are very interesting hierarchical computations which you can do very interestingly on GPUs. It's very, I would say, specialized for GPUs. It's not usually seen on other platforms, which are reductions and prefix sums. These are hierarchical computations, and we will be able to exploit the parallelism in GPUs to do these efficiently, which will lead to certain kind of computations being done in an effective manner. We'll also look at a little bit about how do you manipulate a concurrent linked list. And you will see that there are so many issues that come up in even linked list insertion that that will really take us off, in the sense that creating concurrent data structures on GPUs turns out to be really problematic. Not only on GPUs, but also in general on other platforms, but other parallel platforms. But it turns out to be more so on GPUs because of very specialized way in which SIMD execution happens, and there are restrictions with respect to things being shared at the thread block level, but not across threads, across thread blocks, etc. We'll also briefly look at some sort of coordination between CPU and GPU. So there will be some common data item which will be modified by both CPU and GPU at the same time, and how do the two devices coordinate with each other. So let's define a data race. So we have talked about it, but let's formally put it down. So if a data race occurs, if all of these conditions simultaneously hold. What are those conditions? One thing is that there should be multiple threads, right? There has to be at least two threads. If there is a single thread, then there is no possibility of a data race. There has to be a common data item. There has to be a common memory location which is being accessed by those multiple threads. If there is no common memory location, that is, there are multiple threads, all of them are doing independent tasks, then we don't have a possibility of a data race. One of the accesses by any of the threads must be a write, which means that if all of them are reads, then we don't call it as a data race. Most of the hardware do support the multiple threads accessing the same data item in a read-only manner. So that is all right. But at least one of them has to be a write, then there is a possibility of a data race. And the fourth one is rather, given, it's that there should be a concurrent execution. That is the simultaneous execution of those threads. So there could be multiple threads, but those might be running sequentially. So that is not leading to any data race. All right. So anything which I have missed in this definition? Okay. So I'll take it that you all agree with this definition. So let's see. So there are ways in which the data race can be avoided. So if I give you all these 4 conditions which are required for a data race to exist, what would be the possible solutions to avoid data race? Or what will you do to make sure that data race doesn't occur? Locks on shared variable. Sure.
Sir, atomic read writes.
Atomic read writes.
At least writes.
Okay, that's correct. Okay. Making accesses serial. That is good. That is a valid solution. You might say that, oh, Karthik is giving some very inefficient solution, but that turns out to be a very useful solution at times, especially when threads require large amount of coordination. Then the cost involved in synchronization turns out to be higher than the benefit that you get out of parallelism. And therefore, it often makes sense in such situations when the coordination is too high to avoid all sorts of coordination and do things in parallel. So there is a trade-off involved in synchronization. Okay, any other things? Lock should be atomic because reading and writing on separate locks again leads to inconsistency. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's where the deadlocks are going to come into picture. If I want access to two data items, A and B, so if locking is not atomic, that is, it is not happening as if it's happening together. We are going to study that, but just briefly. So I can, as a thread, I can lock A, and then I am now going to lock B. There is another thread which has locked B, and now it is trying to lock A. This can cause a deadlock. Right? So I hold some lock, and then I'm going to ask for something else. And the opposite is happening for some other thread. And you can create a larger cycle corresponding to it. So at a high level, just to complete our discussion, at a high level, what we require to avoid data race is that if I give you 4 conditions which all must be true simultaneously, then you just need to dissatisfy one of them or more, but at least one of them, to make sure that the data race doesn't occur. Which means that I can just make sure that there aren't multiple threads. And that is going to make sure that it is always going to be a data race free program, okay? Which means that you are essentially having single thread, which is a sequential execution. I can decide that there is no common memory location, which means that if there is something common, maybe I can make a copy of it, let different threads work on different copies, and then see if those could be merged sequentially. That could be another way. At least one of them is a write, right? So this is a little difficult to dissatisfy, because this leads to what is the semantics of the program. But if you can make sure that when the write is happening, then the access is sequential. At all other times, when it's only reads, at that time you allow them to have multiple threads. That could be, so you just dissatisfy one of the conditions, because this ending of all these 4 conditions, even if one of them is negated, then the overall truth value turns out to be false. As well as concurrent execution. So you make sure that whichever are the conflicting threads, those are not executing simultaneously. And that makes sure that the data race is never going to occur, right? So these different forms, and you can think about multiple of these conditions being dissatisfied at the same time. So this leads to different solutions to avoid data race, as I was talking about. The data replication, which means that individual threads are working on individual pieces or individual copies of data, is also called as thread privatization. So the data item is now being private to that thread, very similar to the stack of a thread. The local variables inside a thread, those are specific to that particular thread. The other threads do not have access. For example, our thread ID, it's a local variable that we define inside the kernel, and that is not accessible to other threads. we can also separate reads and writes by a barrier. So that's what I was saying, that have reads happening together, then let everybody now will have to wait most probably. So that's separation by a barrier. And then now the write is happening either sequentially or by single thread, and so on. So there are different ways in which we can avoid these data races. And that is going to be the premise of all of our discussion, that all the synchronization mechanisms should be avoiding data race in some way. Okay. So let's take a simple code. This looks very similar to C code. In fact, the syntax is C code, but this is happening in parallel. So there is a thread T1 and thread T2. Thread T1 executes that there is a shared variable flag, which is going to be set to 1. Then, interestingly, what it does is that while flag is 1 or non-zero, it is just going to wait. Right? And then it executes some arbitrary statement S1, which does not involve flag. If you just look at T1's code, this looks like an infinite loop. And yeah, it might turn out to be an erroneous program if you look at it sequentially. But when you look at it in the context of a parallel program, this is a perfectly valid code. In fact, these are the kinds of codes that you will most probably write. T2 checks that while the flag is false, that is, while the flag is 0, it just waits. And after that, it starts executing S2. Again, S2 does not involve any assignment to flag. And after S2 is executed, flag becomes 0. The question is there a data race in this code? Looking at our definition of a data race, is there a data race? Okay, Bikash is saying yes. Agnik is saying yes. Shira says T1 executes when flag equal to 1, similarly T2. Does that mean when flag is 1, both of them execute? T2 waits when flag equal to 0. Right. Okay, so I didn't get too many responses, but if there is something which you have not understood with respect to the definition of data race, please feel free. I mean, alternatively, the question might be too simple to answer. That's also okay. But in case there is a difficulty in understanding, please let me know. So we say that the data race exists when there are more than one simultaneous threads which are accessing a common memory location, and at least one of them is a write. Now the question is that is there some instruction which is going to be happening in this case, or are there instructions which are referring to the same memory location, and at least one of them is going to be write or not? So that seems to be quite easy. Flag equal to 1 is being done by T1, and flag is being read by T2. And therefore, there is a read and write, and that can happen simultaneously. And therefore, there is a possibility of a data race in this code without any additional information given. So that seems to be the right answer. Now, what I tell you is that this assignment to flag or reading of the flag, typically these flags are Boolean values or single characters or a word. And all of these are automatically atomic. Atomic meaning that these are always going to be executed without any intervening state being visible to other threads. Either you will know that what is the value of flag before this statement and what is the value of flag after this statement. You will not see that like we had this code of flag plus plus or some x plus plus or sum plus plus, and that sum plus plus was decomposed into 3 different instructions, whereas flag equal to 1 is going to be one store statement that is going to be effective instantly, which means that either the previous state is visible or the next state is visible. And therefore, I'll say that this reading and writing of flag is atomic. if I give you this additional information, now does your answer change and why? Yeah, sure, Mrunali. I'll just explain. Um, so the data race exists when there are more than one threads simultaneously accessing a common memory location, and at least one of them is a write. Here, flag equal to 1 is a common memory location, which might be written to by T1 and read by T2 in the while condition. And therefore, and this can happen at the same time, and therefore there is a possibility of a data race according to our definition. That means that the reads and writes are conflicting. Even if it would have been flag equal to 1 on one side and flag equal to 0 on the other side, still there is at least one write, and still there is going to be a data race. Right? So write also is a conflict. Only read is not a conflict. So which means that this while flag, this statement, and while not of flag, these two statements do not conflict with each other, in the sense that there is no data race created because of these two statements. Whereas these two statements can create a data race, these two statements can create a data race, as well as these two statements can create a data race. This statement cannot create a data race. Right? So this pair, I mean, although we have to argue whether all of these are possible to be executed simultaneously, but if these can be executed simultaneously, then there is a possibility. Okay, there is a discussion. Yes, it changes. The concurrent execution condition is negated. Okay. Now no data race, no data race. Okay. If initially flag equal to 0, then T2 will go into infinite loop, then T1 will make flag 1 and T1 will go into infinite loop. So deadlock, but no data race. Okay, good. Yeah, that's a good observation. Let's see if that turns out to be true, whether there is really a deadlock happening.
Sir?
Yeah, Venkat.
Sir, how is there a deadlock? Because when T1 will be stuck in an infinite loop, then flag will be 1, right? The T2 will be released, right?
Yeah. So let's see if there is a data race, whether there is a deadlock happening. But there is definitely a possibility of an infinite loop. And let's understand that. So we should be, I mean, this is a very simple code, as you can see, 3 lines per thread. But it can have variations in the execution effect depending upon how the threads are scheduled. So let's understand that. Right? So what Rigved and Venkat are saying is that there is something more interesting happening. It's not only a question of data race, but there is something more serious happening. So let's understand that. For that, but let's finish this discussion first. So we said that the assignment to flag and reading of flag, let's say, is atomic. In which case, flag equal to 1 is guaranteed to finish, or flag equal to 1 would not have started when you are reading the value of flag from T2. And therefore, flag equal to 1 and not of flag is never going to conflict. Right? So that was our first premise with respect to the data race that possibility. Now let's look at the other two pairs, flag equal to 1 and flag equal to 0. Is it the case that these two statements are going to execute in parallel or not? If they can execute in parallel, still, since assignment is atomic, these are going to be always going to be interleaved as flag equal to 1 followed by flag equal to 0, or the other way around. And therefore, there is no possibility of a data race between them because these are separated in time now. There is no concurrent execution of these because we are saying that these are atomic in nature. As far as while flag and flag equal to 0 are concerned, that is the third pair. And again, their same argument holds, and therefore there is no possibility of a data race. So we have, in this case, exhausted all different combinations of pairs possible between read and write across two threads, and we have argued about the lack of data race being the case in this scenario, or this is called as a data race free program. However, this, as you can see, as the code sizes increase, this number of interleavings that we need to talk about can go on rapidly increasing. And as you increase the number of threads, then these number of interleavings that we need to argue about can also be very high. And therefore, proving that certain code is a data race free code turns out to be really a computationally challenging task. Okay, so now let's come back to the different behaviors of this. What does this code do? Right. So some of that was mentioned by Rigved, but I will wait for a few seconds and for you to understand what this code together might be doing. So please think about that for a few seconds, and then we'll come back to this discussion. Just clarification here, we're considering while also atomic. No, the complete while is not atomic. The complete while is not atomic. It's a little difficult. While is a very large chunk, and just making it atomic will require you some sort of critical section across them. We are not saying while is atomic, but reading of flag is atomic. So which means that I am reading the value of flag, I am checking it to be 0 or non-zero. So that is okay. But after that, again, when I come back, by then some other thread might have executed some statement. So that is possible. Okay,
So,
Akash is, yeah, Venkat, go ahead.
sir, one doubt about flag. So our usual notion of removing a data race is so that we can have consistent reads and writes, right? So like at any point of time, I should be able to say that this variable will have only one particular value, not dependent on the execution or the scheduling of the threads. So
No. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, my question was based on this notion itself, that if that's the case, then if even if the reads and writes are atomic, if the order in which they happen is not fixed, then it doesn't matter. We won't be able to predict that it will have a consistent value, right?
Right. So that's an important point that Venkat is raising. Data race free program doesn't mean that it's a deterministic program. Data race free program means that you can argue about the possible behaviors, and it can have more than one behaviors, and therefore you can have non-determinism in your program. You can have concurrent execution in your program. For example, take a very simple example of sum equal to 0, sum equal to 1. These are the two threads. Right? What are the possible outputs you can get at the end of execution of this parallel program is that you can get sum equal to 0. You can get sum equal to 1 also. So there is non-determinism, but if you guarantee that it is going to be always data race free, the way it gets executed, then you cannot get anything other than these two behaviors. And therefore you can still talk about the set of behaviors that this program can entail. But if you say that the data race can occur between these, then there is no guarantee what the output will be. It need not always be sum equal to 0 or sum equal to 1. It can be something other bit pattern. While you are setting it to 0 by one thread, setting it to 1 by other thread, and something arbitrary might happen, the hardware doesn't give any guarantee. Right? If that sum is not, if that guarantee of atomicity is not given by the hardware, then the output can be arbitrary. And then it becomes very difficult to argue about the correctness or even the possible behaviors of this program. So atomicity doesn't mean it is a deterministic program. It can still be non-deterministic. It's just that the number of behaviors are now going to be limited. It's not, or rather, number of behaviors is going to be deterministic. Let me put it that way. Right? I mean, not deterministic, I would say, but the maximum number of behaviors is going to be deterministic. Let's put it that way. So you'll be able to argue about it. So that's a good point. Any other concerns here? Feel free to ask. Okay. So Akash has mentioned that it ensures S2 completes before S1 starts, right? So this is a very important observation. However, Rigved has also mentioned something more than this, which is about the infinite loop. So you have to look at multiple aspects here. Shira suggests that infinite loop is possible with the sequence flag 0, T2 execution starts, infinite loop in T2, T1 sets the flag to 1, and then infinite loop in T1, same as Rigved suggested. Okay. Let's see if that is going to happen. Okay, let's take that up while people are thinking. Let's say, so flag is 0 initially. Let's assume that flag value could be 0 or 1. Let's assume that for now, but it could be arbitrary value also, right? Because we have not specified what is the initial value of flag. So let's assume that it is going to be 0. Let's take that case. P2 execution starts. It checks that the flag is 0 and therefore this condition is true. And therefore it is going to be stuck inside this while loop. It's not guaranteed that it's going to be infinite loop in T2. It just means that now it is inside the while loop, the T2. Now T1 sets the flag to 1. Right? Now the T1 begins. As soon as T1 begins execution and flag equal to 1, eventually, after some time, this value is going to be read by T2 because these two are executing independently. Independently in the sense that it's not that only one is going to be taken for execution and not the other. There is no such thing. This could be interleaved arbitrarily. And while flag is what is T1's execution, so it is going to wait. But flag equal to 1 is going to trigger T2's while to be set to false, and therefore T2 will come out of this loop. And therefore, there is no possibility of both of them, in this case at least, being in the infinite loop. So there is no possibility of, in some sense, deadlock happening. So Rigved and Shira, do you have any comments on this one?
Got it, sir.
Okay, good. Okay. So there is a possibility that one thread might go into an infinite loop. But there is no possibility that both the threads will go into infinite. If somebody has not understood it, please ask. But that was a good observation. It requires you to think about all of these behaviors. And that's the reason why parallel processing or arguing about parallel processing, especially in the context of data races, turns out to be difficult. And that's also the reason why the synchronization slides turn out to be the most interesting discussion of this course. Yeah, so please keep a watch. It's possible that I might have committed some mistake somewhere, right? Based on my understanding, but I might have missed some understanding. Okay, so that was flag equal to 0, and that was one interleaving. So is it possible that while T2 is executing this while loop, T1 does not start at all, right? That is a very remote possibility, which will not assume to be the case in real hardware, because we expect that all these threads are anyway going to start one time or the other, right? So we will not take into consideration that T1 doesn't start at all. So we'll assume that all of these, if there is enough hardware available such that they can execute in parallel, right? Now, so that was with respect to flag equal to 0. But is it possible that flag equal to 0 is there as the initial condition and T1 begins first? Right, so let's take that condition. So the first one was flag equal to 0, T2 starts execution and then waits at the while loop. Then T1 sets flag to 1, waits at the while loop, and then T2 starts executing, comes out of its while loop. T2 starts executing S2 and then sets flag equal to 0. So it sets flag equal to 0, and if it sets flag equal to 0, then that is going to be visible inside the while loop eventually, after some time. It need not be instantaneous. After some time, that information is going to be available to T1, and then T1 will come out of the execution of while loop and start executing S1. So what this code, when both the threads execute, ensures is that S2 executes first, and then followed by S1 when flag equal to 0 initially. Right? So let's see if there is, so we didn't say that then in this case the infinite loop is not occurring. So where is the infinite loop occurring? Let's understand that a little. Now the second situation occurs. The second situation is that, okay, let me just erase this part again. Flag equal to 0 again, right? and T1 starts executing first, it sets flag equal to 1. As soon as it sets flag equal to 1, either T2 can start T2 is possible, that it can start executing now, and then T2 starts executing. It checks the value of flag, it is 1, it comes out of the loop. At that stage, the flag is equal to the while loop in T1 checks the value of flag, it is 1, so it is anyway going to wait. At this stage, the T2 is going to start executing S2. After that, it is going to set flag equal to 0, so that is also okay. And that is going to trigger again this flag, while flag, which is eventually, and therefore T1 is further going to execute S1. So in both these scenarios, it looks like that, both T1 and T2 are going to execute S2 and S1, but S2 is always going to get executed first, and S1 is going to get executed later. And there doesn't seem to be any possibility of any infinite loop. So any issues that about my argument? But then it is looking like serial execution only. The serial execution is not really happening. As far as writing to flag and reading is concerned, that we are saying is atomic. But otherwise, there is arbitrary interleaving happening between the two. So therefore, we need to worry about all possible interleavings across these two threads. Right? No, it's not that way, that only one of them is executing. It's just that the effect of one thread is being visible to the other. For example, when, let me put it, since in this case, it's the same variable flag, therefore, we are saying that one is happening after the other because we have put restriction on the read and write of flag. But let's imagine that there is some arbitrary statement, let's say S3 here and S4 here. Both these statements could execute simultaneously. So if there are arbitrary possibilities of this S3 and S4, then all of those possibilities, all of these interleaving, S3 and S3 could be a sequence of statements. And therefore, all these could happen in parallel. It's just that we are talking about different behaviors that this parallel execution can have. And therefore, we are dealing with different interleavings. Right? And we can talk about both these things happening parallel. For example, if S3 is sum equal to 0, whereas S4 is x equal to 5, then both of these possibilities exist, that these can execute in parallel or one after the other. Right? So that is okay. It's just that we are talking about flag, which is kind of atomically updated and read, and therefore we need to talk about one after the other. We assume mutual exclusion for critical section. Yes. So when we are talking about atomic, that means that there is some sort of mutual exclusion with respect to reading and writing of flag. Right? So that is what we are assuming here. Thread 2 can start execution, Niranjan is saying, thread 2 can start execution first with flag as true and finish execution before T1 starts executing. Right? So that is the possibility where there is a data race. But let's set flag equal to 0. That is what was our take. So with respect to flag equal to 0, there doesn't seem to be any problem. Flag equal to 1 seems to have some issue, and that is what is being suggested by Niranjan and Amit. So initially flag equal to 1. Right? So let's take that as the...
Sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, in this we are assuming that S1 and S2 don't modify flag, right?
Yes, that is correct. That is a very important kind of premise under which we are operating, that S1 and S2 are not modifying any shared location, specifically flag, because our total argument is with respect to flag. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so let's take this part. So Amit is saying that initially flag equal to 1, then T2 executes. Right? So initially, let's say, now we talked about flag equal to 0. Now let's take flag equal to 1. T2 starts execution. It sees that the while condition is false, and therefore it starts executing S2. And now, before T1 even starts execution, it sets flag equal to 0. Right? So T2, I mean, since we are talking about different interleavings, one of the interleavings is that T2 completes fully before T1 begins. That is also a valid interleaving. So now when original value of flag is 1, the while loop condition is false, S2 starts execution, finishes, and flag becomes equal to 0. Now T2 has completed execution. Now the control goes to T1, or T1 starts execution. It sets flag to 1 and then starts waiting. It's waiting for somebody to set flag to 0, but there is nobody who is going to set the flag to 0, and therefore T1 is going to indefinitely wait in the while loop because T2 has finished execution. Right? So this is the case where you will see that the T1 might get into an infinite loop. Right? Whereas, so one of the guarantees that this code gives is that, yeah, so there is no deadlock, but there is an infinite loop. That is an important point, that there is a possibility of infinite loop for T1, but there is no possibility of a deadlock. That is, they are waiting for each other to set some value. Yeah, so by default, I mean, when in some situation, the code ensures that S2 executes before S1. In some other situation, it makes sure that S2 executes, but S1 may not execute. What it guarantees is that S2 and S1 are mutually exclusive. That is, S2 and S1 never execute at the same time. Right? So that is also one guarantee which this code gives. Any other questions or suggestions? If this part is not understood, please ask question or go through this video later. This is very important. This is very, very basic. Some of you who have probably studied the operating system, you would possibly be able to understand it a little better, but doesn't matter. Even if you have not understood, this is just normal execution of code. And we are just arguing about different behaviors. Okay. Now, a little bit on the compiler side. If I give you this particular program, right, whatever T1 is doing or whatever T2 is doing, and you write a C code corresponding to it, and then you compile it with GCC or NVCC with O1, O2, O3, some optimization flag. What will the code do? What will the compiler do? Any suggestions? At least the students who have studied compilers should be able to answer a little. Might give a warning saying S1 is unreachable. Okay, sure. It might warn that there is an infinite loop. Sure, possibly. But something more fundamental, I mean, something earlier than that can also happen. What is that? It might.
Sir,
yeah, Venkat.
Sir, it is like, are we assuming that flag is initialized? Because
No, flag can have some arbitrary value. It could be 0, non-zero, something.
okay, sir.
I mean, the compiler does not know beyond the program, right? So the program has probably not set it to anything, so therefore it's garbage. So it might remove S1. Okay, again, that's related to infinite loop.
Sir, compiler can reorder instructions also, right?
Yes, that is true.
So it might cause problems because we are assuming that all the reads and writes are happening in a particular order. What if the compiler, like, to optimize memory transactions, it changes the order and that leads to a different situation?
Where will it reorder?
I'm guessing where flag is being written in the while loop, the read and the write, like, I'm not exactly sure, but that's just a wild guess.
Sure. Yeah, so in the parallel processing, this does happen, that the compilers can reorder in general the instructions. I mean, even in the sequential setting, but it creates a problem for the parallel setting. But yeah, so that is not something which I'm asking for. It is something more fundamental. Let me just see the answers. Might remove S1. Yeah, that is related to infinite loop. Flag is not set. It can give that warning. It will remove flag equal to 1 statement. Why is that? Why will it remove?
So
Yeah.
constant propagation.
Okay. Because of that, what will happen?
Yeah, it will just straight away put while one. Like that's what he was
Oh, I
suggesting.
see. I see. I see. Okay. 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 Can fill one in while. Oh, I see. Okay. Fine. That's what Mohit said. It says remove S1 thinking it won't go to S1. Sure. It will remove while loop in T1. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll take Arihan's suggestion here that it will remove while loop in T1. Does that make sense to you? That can a compiler remove the while loop altogether from the code? Right? Think about it as a sequential program. You are giving it to the compiler, right? And will it remove the while loop? What do you think? Let's see what Arihant is. Let's check what Arihant says. Does it make sense? Why will it remove the while loop? It seems to be an important loop, right?
So for sequential program, that check is redundant. But for parallel, the compiler will have to take that into account as well.
Okay. 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 So typically the compiler will not. I mean, even in GCC, you can write parallel programs, right? And the compiler will not know if you are writing a parallel program or a sequential program. So how will the compiler know whether to remove something or retain something? Empty inside. Yeah. So sometimes I mean, the way we are looking at this program, we feel that this is directly given on the platter that this is an empty statement and therefore it has to be related to parallel processing. But you can have actually statements and then compiler might optimize things away and it will see that there are some statements inside the while loop, but all of those are in some sense redundant. It might remove those and then the loop might become empty. And then it will start assuming that it's a parallel code. That doesn't seem to be a reasonable way. Okay. So there are things that can happen here. Specifically for T1, as soon as you say that flag equal to 1 and while 1 semicolon, that means it's an infinite loop. So you all are correct that it is going to be, the compiler can figure out that S1 is an unreachable code and therefore S1 might get removed. So that part is okay. However, in T2 or somewhere else, when you have I can write a similar flip code when you have flag equal to 0 and while not a flag, right? So similar to this, but along with the initialization of flag equal to 0. And then the situation will flip. Right? So this particular statement that flag equal to, did I say it correctly? Not flag equal to 0. I can have other mechanisms where I can write flag equal to 0 here, right? And then while flag, right? So that is also one code which I can write. And such codes, the compiler will be able to figure out that flag equal to 0 and while flag, and that is always going to be false, and therefore it can remove this while loop. And then just keep S1, flag equal to 0 followed by S1. This is possible. Alternatively, if this would have been flag equal to 1 here, and then while not a flag, that is also some statement which the while loop can be removed by the compiler. But that doesn't seem to be really a nice thing to do. And therefore, we have to somehow tell the compiler that, boss, I'm dealing with a parallel program. Okay? How will you tell that to the compiler? I mean,
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but how is T1, like why are we removing the while in T1 just considering the sequential execution?
because the compiler is sequential. GCC, I mean, I'm not talking about NVCC for now. But even in NVCC, there is an invocation of GCC for the host part. So if I say that flag equal to 0 and while flag, that while flag condition is always going to be false.
No. I'm talking about flag equal to 1. The original.
No. In that case, there is an infinite loop. It will not remove while loop. It will remove S1.
So then I didn't get Arihant's point about like it.
No, I think I misunderstood that point. It requires flag equal to 0 and then while flag, or flag equal to 1 and while not of flag. Yes,
Okay.
it requires the opposite condition. That's correct. So, yeah, how do you mention it to the compiler that I'm dealing with something for which you should not be optimizing? So, although I'm talking about JCC, this happens in NVCC also, because there is a host code. You can write such a code in the host, and you can have parallel code inside the host as well. In fact, you can have, as I was talking about CPU GPU communication, you can have some memory which is accessible from both CPU and GPU. Directives, okay, that could be one way, sure. For example, the pragmas that we give, hash pragma something, that could give you something useful with respect to parallelization, but those pragmas need to be understood by the compiler. Okay, there are other ways. For example, I can say that flag is a volatile variable. Volatile is a keyword in C, which we may not have used except in parallel programming. So flag is a volatile variable, and that means that you should not be caching it. And if you can't cache it, that means that it is going to be always read from and returned to the main memory, or at least some common shared location, which could be L2. And in that case, such optimizations for that particular variable are disabled. But I don't want it to be disabled for rest of the program. Otherwise, the program execution is going to be very, very slow. I lose out on large number of optimizations that I can make. And therefore, you need to, whatever are the flags, whatever are the variables which you specify for such specific while loops used for parallel processing, those you can mark as volatile, and that will ensure that flag doesn't get cached, and therefore it will not optimize the execution of this such while loops. Okay, that was more like an aside, but we'll probably come to this soon. As soon as you start implementing locks using such common variables, you will encounter such a situation. You will in fact see that if you try to code this up, there is a possibility that the code might get into an infinite loop. The reason being that if you don't mark it as volatile, this flag equal to 1. So let's look at a proper execution of this. So we said that when flag equal to, when flag equal to 0, then S2 executes before S1, but S2 is setting flag equal to 1 here. T2 is setting flag equal to 0, and T1 is waiting here. If T1 reads the value of flag from memory, right? And in fact, okay, let's put it this way. If T2 sets flag equal to 0 in memory, right, and T1 reads from memory the value of flag, then things are okay with respect to this execution, this behavior that we are talking about. But if either T2 sets it flag equal to 0 inside its own cache and does not update main memory, and T1 is reading either from its cache or main memory, then T2's effect will not be visible to T1. That is one. Second thing, if T2 sets it to the main memory, but T1 reads from the local cache, then there is again a possibility that T1 might still hang. Right? So this does depend upon this called as memory consistency model, and that is what kind of the volatile variable is going to ensure that these reads and writes. The way we argued, we felt that flag is being set into some common memory location, flag is being read from the same common memory location, and therefore the behavior is what we get, which is written on right top corner. But this kind of does not include the possibility of caching, and if there is caching, then there are problems that can occur even when flag equal to 0, and that is what I mentioned right now, and that's the reason why we need to set flag equal to volatile. Volatile int flag equal to 1, something like that we'll have to mention. Okay. All right. So, okay. So we did this only for 2 threads. Is it possible that this sort of mutual exclusion which we had for S1 and S2, can that be ensured for n threads? Right. So please think about this as part of homework, and we'll revisit this part in our next lectures. Any questions?
Sir, why are we saying that T1 may hang? It may execute at some time, right?
In the presence of caching or outside there?
No, sir, in the, without caching.
Without caching. So we said that T2 executes completely. Initial value of flag is 1. So while not of flag is false, so it comes out of the loop, it executes S2, and flag equal to 0 is also set by T2. Right? Now T1 starts executing. It sets flag equal to 1, and then it waits at the flag being 1, and there is nobody to reset it to 0. That's the reason why T1 might hang. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
but both are running parallelly, right?
Yes, both are.
Happen, right? Like after T1, after T2, T1, won't start its execution. Like in between, only flag will set to 1.
So these are definitely executing in parallel, but that means that all possible interleavings are possible, which means that T2 executing completely followed by T1 or the other way around is also one possibility. And therefore, we are not saying that T1 will always hang. We are saying that T1 may execute S1 or it may hang. Right? So that is what we are mentioning here, that S1 may execute or T1 may hang. Right? So this possibility exists.
Okay.
But we can guarantee that T2 never hangs. That guarantee we can give irrespective of whether the value of flag is 0 or non-zero.
Okay, sir.
Can you explain how a data arrays when flag read and write are not atomic can cause S1 and S2 to execute simultaneously? Sure. So when flag equal to 1 or flag equal to 0 or reading of flag is not atomic, in that case, the assignment to flag might not be guaranteed to see the value that is previously it is going to have or the next value. It's possible that in between, if there is some bit pattern which is getting set to flag, might be seen, right? Which means that flag equal to, let's say initially the value of flag is 0. Initially the value of flag is 1. At that stage, flag equal to 1 starts executing, suppose, right? And if there is some intermediate value where flag is neither 0 nor 1, right? It is some arbitrary value, then while not of flag might see that and might start behaving in a different manner. Right? In this case, it will possibly not happen. But imagine that there is some thread which is wants to kick in as soon as, let's say, flag equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. That possibility we cannot deny when flag is not set or reset or read in an atomic manner. And therefore, in this case, it's a simple assignment, but think about it as, let's say, flag, let's say, I think we had taken this example, flag plus plus. In this case, you are reading the value of flag, incrementing that value, and then assigning that value to flag. Now you can see that F++ is not going to be really an atomic operation. So you can see something which is intermediate. And therefore you will, when the interleaving happens, you might see the same value. You might not see the same value. Like F++ is being done by 2 threads. Initial value of F is 0. F++, we expect it to be 2 at the end of execution of these 2 threads, but it might be 1 at the end of execution of this. This is very similar to that S equal to 3, S equal to 1 output that we saw in one of the sync threads related slides. So therefore, not being atomic and an operation, let's say assignment, that can cause these additional issues. In this case, it's a little difficult to talk about it because we just have direct assignment. I'll have to assume that intervening any arbitrary value can occur. Right? So that is going to be a little tricky. we may need separate flags for n greater than 2 thread mutual exclusion. That's a good point. Definitely you should think about this, that we might need multiple flags. We might need actually, let's say n number of flags across these n threads. Yeah, as Rigved is also suggesting, we might require an array of flags. So please think about that, and we'll discuss about this in the future classes. All right, if there are no further questions, we'll stop here.